criminals to monetize their cybercrime. So instead of stealing data where they then need to go through a fairly complex process to sell that data on the black market, with ransomware, they're essentially getting paid directly by the victim. And because of the success of primarily consumers up till now being impacted and then paying, it's actually created an environment that creates incentives to do more and more ransomware campaigns. And we're now starting to see the shift from not only consumers, but even soft target organizations and businesses like hospitals, universities, police stations.
You know, Steve, this morning we learned, or at least I learned something about Google dorking and how these Iranian hackers targeted this New York dam. How vulnerable are key infrastructure points to something like this, to just basically somebody trolling the internet and being able to get in?
You know, the critical infrastructure is made up of a very wide range of technologies, components that have many different types of infrastructure. We also see tremendous variability in who's managing, who's securing these capabilities. So it's a combination of government and private industry. So when we look at what it really takes to secure our critical infrastructure, it's a non-trivial endeavor that all of these different groups need to up their game and actually start working together and do things like share threat intelligence, really share the playbook that the bad actors or the potential attackers would use to go after these different targets.
Steve, at the consumer level, it does feel like, for better or worse, consumers have gotten used to certain types of attack, namely the denial of service and potentially the financial institution cyber attacks. We heard in those charges against the Iranian hackers that 46 financial institutions have been affected by that. People are looking at their credit card statements, they're looking at their bank statements all the time. But what's the risk that we get too used to the traditional types of attack and these hackers find us somewhere else? Where should we be looking next?
No, that's right. We do see what the attackers were purported to be able to do in this case is take one playbook and execute that playbook against a wide range of financial institutions. And part of what we need to do from a defensive standpoint is help mitigate the amplification of these attacks. And it's one of the things that we actually talked about in our threat report was how different types of institutions can share what we call threat intelligence. It's essentially the methodology that the attackers are using to execute something like the denial of service attack that we saw, so that when one of these banks gets impacted, all of the others can do a much better job defending themselves.
Yeah, working together through shared intelligence, a common theme battling all sorts of threats. Steve Grobman from Intel Security, thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
Now another update on GDP for you. Steve Leisman back at headquarters. What's up, Steve?
Hey, Kelly, we have a massive downgrade to our first quarter tracking CNBC rapid update for GDP here. We are now tracking 0.9%. This is the only average on the street of different forecasts for the GDP tracking. We're down 0.5%. In the short but august history of the CNBC rapid update, I think this ranks as one of the largest single downward revisions, all coming from that disappointing personal spending number we got. Not the February number, the revision to January, which went from 0.4 to flat for the month of January on consumer spending. We still have a range of 0.6 to 2.3, and the fourth quarter actual was 1.4%. So you can see we're slowing from the fourth quarter to the first. Here are the revisions, all of them downward, but some very, very big ones. Stephen Stanley at Amherst Pierpont down 0.9% to track just 0.6. The Atlanta Fed down 0.8% from 0.6. Folks, this number has lost a full percentage point because we had that disturbing durables number last week as well. So this number was tracking above 2. Now it's tracking right below 1%. Some commentary we got just very quickly. Action saying they could go lower, but Mark Zandi at Moody's writes in, these GDP numbers make no sense. We can count jobs, and job growth is not at all consistent with measured GDP growth. So, Kelly, that's from the other side, and Action Economics suggesting maybe we have further to fall on this number. Kelly?
Wow, now it's already quite low. Steve, thank you.
Sure.
Our Steve Leisman update on GDP. When we come back, Uber's Travis Kalanick talks business in China and his plans for an IPO or lack thereof. It's a CNBC exclusive, and it's coming up next.
Welcome back. Big news from Beverly Hills. Celebrity plastic surgeon Dr. Andrew Orden has discovered an anti-aging breakthrough called Fill and Freeze. And he's giving away 1 million bottles free.
I've spent nearly 30 years looking for an effective, instant breakthrough to reduce the appearance of wrinkles that can be applied topically instead of with surgery or invasive medical techniques. And I finally found it with Derm Exclusive's Fill and Freeze.
Wow, I'm young again. I don't feel like an old lady. The lines are gone.
Oh my God, wow. I can't believe it. It looks really good. It gives you a whole new confidence.
It definitely took 10 years off. If I went to a dermatologist here in the city, I would pay $300–400 for this.
I know you're wondering what Derm Exclusive can do for you. Well, you don't have to wonder. You can order it right now and try it for yourself, absolutely risk-free. And here's how.
Call now during this special direct-to-consumer offer and you won't pay $120. Today, you can get your own instant results with Fill and Freeze for only $59. But that's not all. Today, we're taking another $20 off, so now you can get this instant wrinkle-removing miracle for the low price of only $39.95. And as part of our 1 million bottle giveaway, Dr. Orden is including a second $60 bottle of Fill and Freeze free. That's nearly $120 of Fill and Freeze for only $39.95. Dr. Orden will even include his micro-peel resurfacing pads, intensive repair serum, and collagen lift moisturizer, a $200 value, free. Order now and we'll even upgrade your order to express delivery. That's a $15 value, free. Plus, you even get to try it risk-free for 30 days with our money-back guarantee. But you must call to order. Call 1-800-771-9410. That's 1-800-771-9410. Order now.
Every home repair or improvement project should start with a pro you know you can trust. That's why for over 15 years, homeowners have trusted HomeAdvisor to find only the best home pros. It's a totally free service that instantly connects you with top-rated pros who have passed criminal and financial background checks. In fact, HomeAdvisor is the nation's #1 network of pre-screened pros and has been used by more than 30 million homeowners. So start every job with confidence at HomeAdvisor.com.
The year's first major winner will be crowned at the ANA Inspiration Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on Golf Channel.
Know what you own and be ready for a buying opportunity. And what I'm telling you is all about doing the homework and being ready to pounce when the time was right. Hey, I got one for you. Knowledge, I'm calling it power.
Welcome back. Uber CEO Travis Kalanick sitting down with our Jeff Cutmore for a CNBC exclusive interview. Here's what he said about business in China, a major point of emphasis for the company.
We're very young here in China, and we're still in that investment mode. The good thing, though, is when you have profitable cities in the world, those profitable cities can then help us to invest more deeply in this country. And so you take like the top 30 the top 30 cities that we're in, around the world, we're already generating $1 billion in profits from those 30 cities a year today. And those cities are growing by 2x, 3x, 4x per year. And so that is sort of the fuel that allows us to go to places like China and invest deeply to make the system work and to work in a big way.
All right, so you can tell they're trying to emphasize just how much money they're making, because plenty of investors are still focused on, well, how much are you spending as you go through this capital and your expansion plans?
Well, the venture capitalists who have seen decks for this company have put the estimates for their losses in China at about $1 billion a year and rising. And it's a winner takes most market in China. There's so many riders, but they are plowing so much money behind that bet. They recently did this capital raise, which we reported on, John, here on Squawk Alley, where Merrill Lynch and Morgan Stanley were selling private shares to their retail investors. And some of the folks that were familiar with that situation were surprised at how closely Uber was paying attention to when exactly that money was wired to their accounts and exactly when they could start spending it. This is a company that needs capital.
It is. I think it's important to note that he specified that in their top 30 markets just how much profit they're making, but they're fighting a multi-front global battle here when it comes to rides, not just in China, but also in Southeast Asia versus Grab, formerly Grab Taxi. And so they're trying to do not only the traditional cars like taxis, they're also trying to do bikes now, and they're trying to do this ride-sharing thing. A lot of companies, Living Social and others included, have sort of crashed against the rocks when fighting these multi-front wars. It's by no means assured that Uber is going to be
His
victorious.
earlier comments, by the way, about how he is not looking to IPO anytime soon, also creating quite a bit of buzz.
Yeah, moral obligation to the employees and investors who have their stock tied up, but he wants to do that as late as possible. Very interesting step. Meanwhile, Apple unveiled the iPhone SE and a new iPad Pro last week, and pre-orders are starting to roll in. So will the more affordable iPhone SE be the big winner for Apple this year? Amit Daryanani is an analyst with RBC Capital Markets. And Amit, we focus so much on Apple and what this could mean for its customer base as they are upgrading to the new SE. But I'm curious about your research on which suppliers could benefit from this new model.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, what I'd say is Apple, its entire ecosystem, should get a small benefit from the iPhone SE, right? End of the day, it's not going to be a huge product. We think 15, 20 million units, so about 4 or 5% of total Apple phones in a given year. Some of the beneficiaries that we think could work very well from this would be guys like Texas Instruments on the analog side, Dialog Semiconductor on the analog side, Amphenol, Jabil. There are a host of supply chain beneficiaries that would get a benefit from this, but again, the point would be it's a small number. It's 4 or 5% of the total iPhone unit base right now.
So do you think if an investor wants to play the supply chain trade of this, that they should wait until perhaps the iPhone 7 comes out this fall?
I would think so. I think that's typically the bigger refresh cycle, the bigger upside you get out of the ecosystem more often than not. So I do think if you're playing Apple versus the supply chain, the iPhone 7 historically has been a better point to play it. The one other point I would point out is, the iPhone SE is priced very attractively, potentially at a risk to Apple's own gross margins. We do think Apple would look for the supply chain to share some of the pain with them, especially if it's low gross margins. I do think the SE, while it helps everyone on the unit, could have a negative impact on gross margins. I think the 7 would be a much cleaner product for Apple and its supply chain to work.
I mean, I'm curious why you say 15 to 20 million units of the SE, given that Apple took the unusual step of saying during the presentation that they did 30 million units in 4-inch phones in 2015. So either you think people are going to opt for the 6S, that they really just want a slightly cheaper deal, and that's why they were buying a 4-inch phone, or you don't think that despite this lower price, the volumes are going to go up for the 4-inch phones that much. Why do you say just 15 to 20 versus at least the 30 that they did in 2015 in this form factor?
No, that's a fair point. I should say the 15 to 20 million number we talk about is incremental. So I do think that 30 million base that they have, call it 13% installed base that runs on 4-inch, should sustain that momentum. The 15 million or so unit number we talk about, that's roughly our sense of, there's about 140 million 4-inch phones that are 3 years or older. The 15 million number is a reflection that we think about 10-15% of that base could migrate to the newer form factor. So to be clear, we do think the 30 million chugs along the way it is. The 15 to 20 million would be an incremental number on top of it for the 4-inch phones.
Well, we're going to continue to see this color on the pre-orders for both the SE and the new iPad Pro. Amit, we appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.
Amit Daryanani from RBC.
And this is the time when we usually bring you the European close, but most of Europe is closed today due to the holiday. Europe is back in business tomorrow. Interesting how they have a holiday after our holiday. So many times.
They also had our holiday.
They also had our holiday, but I like how they do it over there.
Always sneaking a few extra days in there.
All right, up next, two of the biggest names in gaming are going to join us to break down Facebook's Oculus Rift. The former CEO of Electronic Arts and the co-founder of Zynga will join us when we come right back.
I'm the company Data Hog. I do the sales, the marketing. I have to do that from my phone.
We use tons of data. I don't really have to worry about it because everything's unlimited.
I need data and I need it now.
Done. Introducing the best unlimited 4G LTE business plan in wireless. Get 3 lines of unlimited data for only $50 each. And when you get 3 lines, we'll give you the 4th line free. Only for a limited time with T-Mobile at Work.
When we sold our home, we only wanted our real estate agent to do 2 things: sell our home fast and for the most money. Thankfully, we found HomeLight.
HomeLight rates all the agents in your neighborhood using actual performance data like transaction history and reviews. That's data on millions of agents you can't find anywhere else.
It took just a few minutes and it didn't cost us anything. We sold in just 2 days and for more than we ever thought we would.
Join the thousands of people who have found a great real estate agent by going to HomeLight.com.
People are trying to make money. They're trying to plan for the future.
This stock went up. How do we play it tomorrow? I always want people to have a money takeaway.
It's the classic buy, sell, or hold bull bear debate.
It's a huge responsibility. We know there are billions and billions of dollars out there moving on every word that we say.
Stick your neck out and you try to make people money. Someone has to try. It's a bold thing to try to make money.
The information comes first, the decision comes second. That's our mission. That's the power of what we do.
Look at that.
For these